Hey guys, and welcome to this very special Thanksgiving edition of Bixby's Beer Reviews. So wonderful to see you here. As promised, we're getting to the second part of our two-part Thanksgiving week series on the beers you need at your Thanksgiving or holiday dessert table. So let's get right into it. I told you we'd be having another beer from Southern Grist Brewing out of Nashville, one of my favorite breweries that I've been discovering lately. And that's what we're doing today. We got Listen Up Butternut. This is a collab they did with Blaze Brewing from up in Maine, another brewery we've had here on the BBR. And let me tell you what's going on in this one. The name gives you the biggest clue. This is a milk stout that has been brewed with butternut squash, lactose, corn, donuts, coconut, and vanilla. That's right, it is a butternut squash donut stout. Don't mind telling you, I'm something of a gourd man myself. I'll know from our last episode, love the pumpkins, actually grow them out there in the BBR farmstead in the backyard. Also love a butternut squash, love growing those too, love eating them, gonna have some for dinner next week. So of course, very excited to see a beer that has butternut squash. And as soon as I had a lot of thoughts about what beers I was gonna do for the holidays, what kind of stout am I gonna do, what kind of dessert beer. And as soon as I saw this, I knew this was the one for Thanksgiving. So I'm so excited to crack it open. Let's take a look at it right now. As we get into the colder weather, I'm going to bring y'all some special holiday episodes where I dig down deep in the hashtag BBR cellars to bring you some aged beers, some rare beers, some very special ones from my collection. Maybe check us out on the Instagram. Might throw a little poll up there and let y'all decide what's coming out of the cellar. In the meantime, our butternut donut milk stout here, you can see very, very dark. Not even a little bit of light coming through the bottom, practically opaque. Very, very light head, not much persistence. That's just fine. When you see a beer with this many sweet ingredients, you know you're gonna get pretty heavy body, pretty light on the carbonation, so you get a really full mouthfeel. So nothing much surprising there. Looks like a winner. Let's give it a smell. That is a sinfully rich aroma coming off this beer. Coconut takes the early lead when you put your nose in there. It's a rich, creamy, and very natural coconut aroma with a little bit of vanilla in there too. But it quickly goes to a much more chocolatey place. There's very rich chocolate malt, I would say. Slightly on the sweeter side, not so much the dark bitter chocolate, but very much a good amount of roasty chocolate aroma from the malt. I would not say that squash is much in evidence, but I think as we've seen from some of the pumpkin beers, squash has a more of a flavor and less of an aroma contribution. So without further ado, let's give this wonderful smelling beer a taste. Ooh, very full-bodied, very smooth. And I would say that same chocolate malt aroma starts to carry a little bit more of the vanilla and the coconut, and it settles into more of a sweeter place. And I would say that butternut squash comes through very nicely. It comes through as a smooth and distinctly gourdy note, but a little bit sort of like, not raw squash, more like a roasted squash. If you've ever had squash from the oven, like a roasted squash soup or something like that, it goes to more of a kind of a caramelized place, and it really teases out more of the darker chocolate notes of the malt too. So like a lot of my favorite adjuncted beers, it's really not the adjuncts that overwhelm everything here, but they more contribute to the underlying beer character, which here is a rich chocolatey milk stout. Very heavy body, very light carbonation. This is one of the heavier beers we've had so far. A little bit of a motor oil type characteristic going on. But overall, a wonderful beer that blends its flavors very nicely and gets me to it's a little bit more of a chocolatey place than I might have expected, but overall to a wonderful and unique impression from a very rich, desserty stout. So I love this one very much. Cannot advise you strongly enough to check out Southern Grist. I've really enjoyed so many of the beers that they've done. But in the meantime, I don't know that I've seen that many butternut squash beers or even another butternut squash beer, but if you see one, check it out. It's a flavor that I really like, much like pumpkin, and I think it's one that can bring you something of a unique dessert beer during this holiday season or whenever the mood should strike you. So thanks so much for joining me today. Really enjoyed checking out this beer with you, and until next time, bye now.